And by request, we're going to address symptoms of sciatica. So just really quickly, we'll describe what sciatica is, what causes it, and why this routine is going to be helpful for sciatica. Sciatica is an umbrella term that covers any sort of pain or burning sensations we get deep in the gluteal muscles that can run down both or one leg. So anything in that chain, even if you just have pain in your calf, that can fall under the sciatica umbrella. If you have pain in your hamstrings, that can fall under the sciatica umbrella. So anything from your glutes down to the floor. Now, sciatica can be caused by a tight muscle deep in the glutes called the piriformis. The sciatic nerve can run in front of, through, or behind the piriformis. And if the piriformis is tight, it can squeeze the sciatic nerve. So what does that mean? If you stand like this with your kneecaps turned out, you're just constantly keeping tension on your piriformis. You're making the piriformis smaller and tighter, and it could be death gripping your sciatic nerve. And that could be what's giving you your symptoms. So today, we're going to try to learn some techniques to help slow down, stop, and reverse those symptoms. Okay, so first things first, we stand with our kneecaps pointing forward. By standing with our kneecaps pointing forward, we help neutralize the tightness in the piriformis, and we help create space in the hips. So we're going to try our best to maintain this kind of position as we warm up and go through some of the yoga. So first we warm up. Kneecaps pointing forward, knees soft. We're going to loosen and mobilize the spine. Arms by your side, please. As we inhale, we're going to look up, turn the palms away from our body. We're turning from the shoulders. Lift your chest and lift your behind. And then exhale, we go the opposite direction. It's like we're curling up into a ball. Get a back stretch here. Inhale, lift up, look up. We get a front stretch here. And just repeat that a few times as we go. We try to go kind of slow. We want to make sure that we stay within tolerable, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't want to put ourselves into pain. Let's put it that way. If something is putting you into pain, you should stop or find a way to find a tolerable range of motion, a tolerable way of doing the exercise, and then you can gradually build up from there. Okay. Now we come back to center and pause, just nice and easy, and we go side to side. So again, keeping the knees soft, we take a breath in, take a breath out, and let's say left ear to left shoulder, and we drop the left shoulder down, kick that right hip out, we get a side stretch. Back to center, and then we go the other way. So we try to exhale into the bend, we try to inhale out of the bend, and we just find a range of motion that's doable for us. We don't have to go completely maximum to our end ranges, grind our teeth, and fight and force our way. It's quite the opposite. Should be kind of gentle. Just breathe. Be aware. Don't push too far. Don't push too fast. Just go easy. Just go a couple more times here. So these gentle mobility exercises that we're doing here as the warm-up, they're just helping to increase circulation. They're helping to increase the lubricants in the joints, in the spine. Okay, we come up and stand now, and let's do our rotations. So we're trying to rotate through the rib cage if we can. Soft knees. Bring our arms up. The palms of your hands are more or less going to face your lungs, for lack of a better word. Keep your elbows down, keep your shoulders down. Take a breath in. Take a breath out, and let's just rotate, let's say to the right. So we're trying to turn the ribs to the right. Keep your hands in front of your lungs. Don't let your hands drift off to the side if you can help it. Back to center. And then we exhale, we go the other way. We just try to move kind of like in slow motion, just smooth. Inhale to the center, exhale as we turn. Keep your knees soft. And again, we're just bringing circulation into the spine. We're bringing nutrients, blood, and lubricants, all the stuff that we need for a healthy, functional spine, low back, hips. Okay, now we come back to the center, pause, take a breath in, take a breath out, bring the hands down, nice and easy. Good. So now we're going to do what's called decompression breathing. Again, just trying to create space between our spine, our hips, spine, everything, so that we're not constantly crushing and compressing. If we can, we try to turn our toes in a little bit, turn our heels out just a tiny little bit. And again, we're going to keep our knees a little bit soft. Now we take out our measuring sticks. You extend your pinky, extend your thumb. You put your pinky on your hip bones, and you put your thumb just where your ribs attach to your guts. Your elbows are going to point out to the side. So we're not pulling the elbows back. They're pointing out to the sides. Pull your forehead back so you make your neck nice and long. And now we take a breath in. As you inhale, you're lifting the rib cage. Front, back, left, right, spreading the ribs. Now keep the ribs up. Exhale and empty your tummy. It's difficult, but if we do it correctly, you'll feel all of those anti-gravity muscles click on. Breathe in again. Keep the ribs lifted. Exhale, empty your tummy. Pull your pelvic floor up, but keep your ribs up. 2 more. Breath in. Breath out. Keep the ribs lifted. Empty your tummy. Last one, inhale. Last one, exhale. And gently release. If we did that correctly, you feel all these muscles around your core trying to lift and hold you up. And that's a big part of the sciatica puzzle, is to create space so your nerves and muscles can move around freely. Now let's do a little bit of yoga. Let's get into mountain pose, please. Kneecaps point forward. If you can, toes turn in a little bit, heels turn out a little bit. Just creating space in the hips. Tone your legs. If you can, lift and spread your toes. Your feet stay on the ground, your toes come off the ground. Activate your core. Find an exhale. Pull your pelvic floor up. Pull your belly button in a little bit, creating some spinal stability. Lock that in. Arms by your side, please. Spread your fingers wide. And we pull the shoulder blades straight down. You want to feel your armpits kind of click on a little bit. Breath in. Breath out. On your next inhale, keeping your shoulders down, lift your arms up about halfway. Inhale, arms come up about halfway, but keep your shoulders down. Exhale, hands pass through heart center in a prayer fashion. We touch the front of the thighs or the sides of the thighs. Breath in. Breath out. Make your knees soft and push your behind straight back. We get into what's called a rearward shift. So our hands will travel down our legs. We find our knees and we hold. And we breathe. Now this is helping to create space in the low back and in the hips. It's toning the muscles that surround the knees, the low back, and the hips. It's helping to strengthen the low back. All these conditions help to have a better functioning body, more muscle tone, etc. Take a breath in. Take a breath out, engage your core, push with your feet, and we come back to mountain pose. Shoulders down. Inhale, bring your arms up halfway. Exhale, hands come through heart center in a prayer fashion. Touch the front of the thighs or the side of the thighs. Pause. Breath in. Breath out. Let your knees bend a tiny little bit. Push your behind straight back. Go slow. Push your behind straight back. And let your hands trace your thighs. Once your hands are about the height of your kneecaps, it's kind of where you stop. If you go too much further down, gravity is just pulling you down. You're not really getting benefit. You can stay up a little higher. If this is exacerbating an existing condition, you can come out of it a little bit. But we don't need to go further. Right here's a good sweet spot. Breath in. Breath out. Push with your feet. Engage your core. Come up. And we'll go third and final. Take one breath in. One breath out. On your next inhale, bring your arms up about halfway. Now big exhale. Hands come through heart center. Touch the front of the thighs. Bend the knees slightly. Push your behind straight back. One big exhale. And we get into that rearward shift. And hold and breathe. And we're still working on keeping the shoulders down. Still trying to keep the core engaged. We want to feel the entire foot on the ground. Your heels will be heavy. You feel the backs of your legs load up. You'll feel your glutes stretch. One more breath in. One more breath out. Push with your feet. Stand up, please. Mountain pose. Take a breath in. Breath out. And release. Good. Now we're going to take mountain pose and put it in a split stance. It's called giraffe. We're going to do what's called nerve flossing to help condition the nerve and the soft tissues of the legs that can help you with sciatica symptoms. I'm going to stand diagonally that you can see the technique, but we just have to start in a mountain pose. Anywhere on the mat that you can see me is fine. Now I'm going to shift my weight into my left leg. Left knee goes soft. That'll help you negotiate the balance. And it's the right toes that drag back and slightly to the right. Just about the length of a walking stride. Hold on to a wall if you need to for balance, that's fine. That right heel turns out slightly. Remember, we're creating space in this hip back here. Front leg is slightly bent. So we're upright position in sort of like mountain pose from the waist up. Now we're going to lift and lower the rear heel. So as we exhale, we let the rear heel lower towards the ground. It doesn't have to touch the ground. It can if it can, but if it can't, that's fine. And then we inhale, lift the heel. So we kind of come up on that tiptoe. Exhale, lower the heel. And then repeat that. Inhale, heel comes up. Now it doesn't matter if you get full range of motion. It doesn't matter if you only move half an inch. What matters is that we're trying to create space and lubricate the path of the sciatic nerve. So if we give that sciatic nerve some room to move, some space to breathe, there's a good chance we'll feel less and less sciatic symptoms. Okay, let's do one more. And we come to that original giraffe position. Swing your arms back and step forward. Good. Now we'll go to the other side. Shift the weight to the right leg. Right knee bends slightly. Left toes go back and to the left. So we're not on a tightrope. We're on two train tracks. That left knee is slightly bent. That left heel turns out away from the body, creating space in the hips. The right knee is slightly bent. And here we go. If we can, we exhale, lower the left heel. Inhale, left heel comes up. And just kind of repeat slowly at your own pace. And see if you can go more up and down instead of forward, backward. See if you can go up and down instead of forward, backward. You get a nice little stretch through the foot. Just a couple more. The side effect of this, of course, is mobile feet, strong feet, We're stretching the sole of the foot. We're mobilizing the toes, mobilizing the ankle. So we get secret benefits to this stuff as well. Okay, next time we're in giraffe, pause, swing the arms back, step forward, mountain pose. Good. Now we're going to try and take and expand on this using the giraffe position and a wall if you have a wall handy. If you don't have a wall handy, or if this is too much for you, just do what we just did a second ago, the heel raises in giraffe. If you have a wall, we're going to face the wall, and let's say I'm going to work on my right leg. I'm going to get into that giraffe position, but my right leg will be in front. Right hand to the wall. Right knee goes soft, left toes go back into the left. So we know this position, we were just in it, it was giraffe. I have to scooch a little bit closer to the wall, and here I am, good to go. Okay, so my right leg is slightly bent, my right arm is on the wall. I'm going to turn my right toes in a little bit, turn my right heel out just a little bit. Breath in, breath out, and I'm going to hinge. I'm going to push my butt back a little bit, kind of just a tiny little bit, a little hinge forward so that I'm working this right glute. Now, from here, I'm going to push into the wall and turn my torso to the right. So I'm turning in a way that I'm looking over my arm. I see you there. My left leg is turning in as well, and I'm getting a nice stretch on that right glute, that right hip area. Hold here and breathe here. Double check that it's not affecting your joints. You need this to affect the soft tissue, the glutes, that sort of sciatic region of that right leg. One more breath in. One more breath out. Gently unwind and gently step forward. Good. So you should feel a nice stretch through that right glute. Now, because of camera angles, I'm going to go to a different wall. You can stay right where you are. Going to work the left side. So it's my left hand to the wall. I'm going to step back with my right leg. That means my left leg is forward. I'm in giraffe, just like we did a second ago. It's just that my left hand is on the wall. If I can, I'm going to turn my left toes in a little bit, left heel out a little bit. Take the breath in, breath out, push my behind back. I'm just folding at the hips just a little bit, tiny little bit, just enough to put a little extra oomph on that glute. Now I'm going to push with my left hand. That's going to help me turn to my left. My rear leg is kind of like you're squishing out a cigarette. Everything's turning to the left. I should get a nice little stretch on that left glute, that left hip. Try to keep your head up out of the water. If you're able to see me, you notice I'm looking up over my arm. I can see the camera, I can see you. I'm not letting myself kind of sink into the ground. Take one more breath in. Breath out. Gently unwind. Gently step forward. And if it makes sense, please come back to your mat and we'll get to mountain pose. So we just reset everything now with mountain pose. One breath in. One breath out. And release. Good. Let's get into triangle pose, please. We'll take our feet kind of wide as you can comfortably. You only take your feet as wide as you can still move around. We call it wiggle room. So if you've taken yourself so wide that you are so stiff, that's too far. Find a position where you can still kind of wiggle around. Okay, this front leg, we're going to turn 90 degrees, face the short end of the mat. Rear leg's going to turn in just about 30 degrees. It's this rear leg where we're getting a similar stretch that we just did a second ago. That's going to help us create space, condition these soft tissues, and hopefully mitigate sciatica pain. Front hand to your front thigh. Take a breath in, please. Take a breath out. Brace your ribs, brace your spine. We're going to kick this rear hip toward the rear leg. So we get that stretch on the outside hip. That rear leg is turned in a little bit, just like we did on face the wall giraffe pose. Now only go so far as you can by keeping your spine organized. Don't let your spine bend too much if you can help it. If you can, bring your hands out to a T, that top hand to a T. And if you like, think with your glutes and slowly start to pull the yoga mat apart. And that helps add a strengthening element to this. We need strength in the hips, inner hips, outer hips, to help support us so we don't get that compressed feeling. One more breath in. One more breath out. Tighten all your muscles. Swing your hip to the front and we come out of that position. Good. Let's go to the other side. So now this rear leg turns in about 30 degrees. Front leg goes 90 degrees. We're getting that space, that spacious stretch and toning on this rear hip. Front hand to the front thigh. Breath in. Breath out. Keep your ribs braced, your spine braced. And we kick this rear hip toward the rear leg. You might feel a stretch on the front leg. That's completely, totally normal. But we should also feel some opening and some toning on this rear hip. If we can, top hand comes up to a T, not to a Y, just to a T. If you can, you start to slowly pull the yoga mat apart. The action is coming from your hips. Your feet stay glued to the ground. Try not to think with your knees, just think with your hips, making the yoga mat a little bit longer. Breath in. Breath out. Tone your core. Push the floor with your feet. Come out of that position and drop your arms. Excellent. Now let's do a little more work if we can. Keep our feet kind of wide. We want to get both kneecaps to point forward. We don't really have to turn our toes in too much in this wide-legged position, but at least get the knees to point forward if possible. Bring our hands to the front of the thighs. This is called the rearward shift. We take a breath in, take a breath out, make your knees soft, and push your behind straight back. You're trying to bend from the ball and socket of your legs. You're not bending in your spine. Once your hands are about your kneecaps, that's when we stop and we hold. Now, in this position, double check. You want to feel a little extra weight in your heels. Your foot is on the ground, but you'll feel a little more weight in your heels. Now, what we're going to try is the opposite of what we did in triangle. Thinking with your inner thighs, we're going to slowly imagine making the yoga mat smaller. You're dragging your feet together, you're dragging your inner thighs together, but you're not dragging your knees together. Just leave your knees alone. Use those inner thigh muscles. This is helping to create support and stability in your pelvis. It's helping to create space in your low back and your hips. 2 more breaths here if we can. Now maintaining that isometric contraction of bringing your feet together. Keep working that. Take the breath in. Take the breath out. Push the floor with your feet. Stand up nice and slow. Slow is the opposite of fast. And once you're upright, take a breath in. Take a breath out. And now we release everything. Good. And then, any way possible, if we can, we toe heel our legs back to mountain. That just gives you a little bit of extra hip mobility, or just wobble yourself there. That's fine. One more mountain pose for a reset, and then we'll call it a day. Double check that your feet are about hip width. Double check that your kneecaps point forward. If you can, turn your toes in a little bit, turn your heels out just a little bit. Tone your legs, activate your core, arms by your side, please. Make the back of your neck long and pull your forehead back. Let's take 2 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Try to get long. Inhale. And exhale. I know I said 2. Let's do 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. And release. Good. So something just as simple as mountain pose throughout your day. If you happen to catch yourself standing like Charlie Chaplin, you're waiting at the bank or waiting at the grocery store. If you catch yourself like this, try to come back to mountain pose and give your low back a little bit of a rest. Now, if we can, let's just continue winding things down. We'll come to a seated position any way possible. It doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter how you sit. You can sit on a chair, on an ottoman. You can sit crisscross applesauce, any way you can. But the goal is to be upright. Try not to slouch if you can help it. And usually getting your hips higher than your knees helps with that. Okay, so let's take 2 breaths here. In and out through our nose. Just inhale. Exhale through your nose if that's possible. Inhale. And exhale. Now we'll try for a simple seated twist. Take a breath in, please. And as we exhale, we're going to use the muscles of our torso to try to turn ourselves to the right. So don't turn from your skull. Try to turn from your ribs. And when you feel stuck, just set your hands in a way that you don't unwind. Don't worry too much about how far you go. We're just trying to activate the muscles of the core. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Just inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose or the mouth. And just double check that you're as upright as possible and that you're keeping your shoulders down. Don't let your shoulders creep up to your ears. Pull those shoulders down. Make your neck long, make your spine long. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. And we gently, 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 gently unwind. If you're in crisscross applesauce, go ahead and switch your crisscross applesauce. If you're not, just stay right where you are is fine. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Now we turn the ribs to the left. We're not turning the skull, we're turning the ribs. And there's a huge difference, by the way. Sometimes we turn our head, we think we're rotating, but we're not. We're just straining our neck. So here we're trying to get the rib cage to move. Once you feel stuck, set your hands in a way that you won't unwind. And do your best to keep your shoulders down, neck and spine long. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Then we slowly, slowly, slowly unwind and face forward. Amazing. Great work. Now, in the interest of time, I'll end the practice here. Of course, if you like, you can continue to downregulate and take final rest. If you'd like to end with me, we'll bring our hands together in a prayer position, thumbnails to the chest bone. With your eyes opened or closed, let's breathe together. Inhale. And exhale with a sigh. I appreciate you. I care about you. And I thank you for joining me today. Namaste.